Okay, welcome back to the video for chapter 5.
It's 8 o'clock.
Though I ran out of time on the previous video and didn't cover the last couple of pages of chapter 4, so let me just mention that so that as you watch it you can pick up on it. It's a little bit more vocabulary. They're all proper names. Christos, which is Christ, and then Abraham, that's Abraham, David, that's David, as you'll recognize. Paulus, you can see that. Petrus, Peter. Pilatus, Pilate, and Simon, and that is Simon, Simon Peter. Now, here's the encouraging thing about it. Once you learn these words, you will have learned 11.55% of the words in the New Testament, counting the times that they reoccur. So anyway, be encouraged and keep learning. And then I want to point out the advanced information for you, some basic rules for accents. We're not going to spend a lot of time on trying to become accent experts, but accents are important. Sometimes they're very important to the spelling of words, and we'll note those things as we go along. But read what he has to say, if you will, about this, and then he adds some additional words, and it would be good if you have the time and motivation to go ahead and memorize those. All right, the next section of the book on pages 20 and 21 is an overview. These are very helpful. He simply points ahead to what's going to be taking place in your study. Chapter 5 is where the actual grammar study begins. Beyond the vocabulary, we've already had that, and that's extremely important. But the introduction to English nouns, Dr. Mounts introduces you to nouns first. We'll pick up some verbs along the way, but then we focus on verbs a little bit later on. So what I want to point out to you on the chapter 5, beginning on page 22, first of all, the overview of the chapter, and then the introduction, where he talks some about nouns. He's very practical in his approach. I think you will notice that. He talks about inflection. That is a very important concept. English does some inflection, but we don't do very much. But most of the other languages do a great deal of it, and that is true here in Greek as well. The word changes its form from one way it is presented to another. So you want to look very closely at what he has to say here. He also talks about case, and I encourage you to really bore in on this and learn the cases, learn what case is, what the concept is. It's the function of words in the sentence, and they have a different form to indicate that function. Makes it very easy when reading Greek to say, okay, here's something in the nominative case that's going to be either the subject or it's going to be a complement or something in the sentence. In a possessive case is shown by the genitive case, objective function, direct object, things of that nature are shown by the accusative. So look very closely at that. You will learn 5 cases principally. There are really 8 cases in Greek. We usually focus them together by the forms, and there are 5 different forms. So anyway, pay attention to that. Then on section 5.4, you deal with number. That's how many are you talking about, one person or more, or thing or more. Gender, of course, masculine, feminine, and neuter, and all of those have different forms. And then declension, there are different ways to form the plural. For instance, you simply add an S or something. He tells you about that, and we're talking about English verbs primarily here, but read carefully what he says about declension, and then you'll see how that applies to Greek a little bit later. And then there's a review of parts of speech. You really need to have a grip on this. I find many students do not really have a firm grip on English grammar, and in fact, Greek will help you with that some. But pay close attention to this, because you do need to understand what the parts of speech are and what their function is in the sentence. Then beginning at section 5.14, you have the Greek subject and verbs, and we're gonna talk about verbs, as I said, later on, but you need to read carefully what he has here. So you see, this is a read-only chapter. There are no exercises, and there is no vocabulary in this chapter. So it kind of finishes up your assignment for this week with what you have to turn in on Saturday, August the 27th. Now let me just mention that I will also have this in the PowerPoint. PowerPoint is something that you can follow through to get specific instructions. It'll get more specific as time goes by. But let me just simply call your attention to what the assignment is for Saturday, August the 27th. You need to read chapters 1 through 5, the things you need to learn. We have tried to point out to you, and I will do that in the PowerPoint that I'm preparing, and it will be posted as well by Monday morning, or by the time this is posted, it will be posted as well. But you want to read those chapters. You must learn to write the alphabet, recognize it, write it, pronounce it. Those things are extremely, extremely important. And then simply read these other chapters, and finally you will have a quiz. Now the quiz is going to involve two major areas. One is going to be the vocabulary in chapter 4, and then of course the other is the alphabet. I'm going to ask you to write the alphabet. These will be on assignments. I've talked to you already, and I will in the PowerPoint, about how to access that and how to post that. When you post it in assignments, then David can go to that and grade your paper and give you a grade, and that will automatically put the grade in the grade center in Blackboard. Okay, so that makes this a short video to finish this up. Next week we will begin with more regular, where you'll be having some exercises in the workbook and turning those in, as well as a quiz. Remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to call or email. Email is probably the best way to contact us. My email is simply jdukes@nobts.edu, and David's is listed in the syllabus. I'll spell it out for you. It's a little unusual, but it looks like Justida, Justida, but it's actually for Justice David, is where that comes from. But it's just justida@gmail.com. So don't hesitate to contact us. We'll always take the time. As soon as we can get back to you, we will. We'll try to turn it around as quickly as possible. I will talk more about Blackboard on the PowerPoint, and about the discussion board. In fact, let me go ahead and mention here what I'd like for you to do this week, and that is to go to discussions, I think is what it's called in Blackboard, and it's the discussion board. There's a forum set up for getting to know one another relating to that. So find that, if you will, and type in something having to do with yourself, talking about your family, your ministry, things that you like and dislike, and things of that nature. So all of us can get to know each other a little bit better. So I'll appreciate that very much if you'll do that. We'll talk about some other things on Blackboard as we go along. Now remember this, that I would say the process for you, the suggested process for you from my perspective, would be when you get ready to prepare a week's work. Remember, you'll have 2 assignments. And when you get ready to prepare the first one, then go ahead and look first at the video that's posted on Blackboard. Actually, it's on YouTube, and the link to get to it is on Blackboard. And you'll do that. I'll give you specific directions in the PowerPoint because I'm kind of new at this and working on getting it done. So right now there are some videos being loaded to YouTube, but I'm not sure exactly how to access them yet. I've got a key to it, and I'll provide that on Blackboard. So we'll work through it, but just check then after you look at the video. Once you get the key and learn how to do that, then the next step would be to go to the PowerPoint and read through that, work through that as you work through your assignment. Any questions you have, any suggestions you have, I'm certainly open to that. So let us know if there's anything you think we can do better to make this process of learning Greek easier for you. I look forward to seeing all of you on Friday. I will be in Orlando for this first session because I already had a commitment there, and so I will be there. Then I will later on be in Atlanta as well, and then of course I'll be 2 times in New Orleans. That's what they're asking us to do. So we'll keep you up on where we're going to be. So if you're planning to come, I'll try to have that for you by next week, the schedule. If you're planning to come to New Orleans to get on campus credit, then you can come to New Orleans while the professor's there. Probably make it better for you. So anyway, we'll try to get that information to you just as soon as we can. So if I've not answered any question that you may have, please don't hesitate to let us know. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Friday, and we will see you again by video next week. Thank you very much.